covering Northern California. You're watching Action News Now, coverage you can count on.
Evacuations in the dark after a fire broke out in rural Glenn County north of Orland. A man with weapons in his car was arrested this morning outside the U.S. Capitol in Washington, D.C. And a car and bus collide, tying up the morning commute in Chico. New at noon, police are investigating a crash involving a B-Line transit bus. Happened just after 8:30 this morning at East Avenue and the northbound off-ramp of Highway 99. Officers say both drivers went to the hospital with minor to moderate injuries and that there were no passengers on the bus. That crash happened right during the morning commute. It caused traffic to back up onto Highway 99 until the scene could be cleared. We are working to find out who was at fault. Also new, after an 8-month investigation, Sutter County Sheriff's detectives have made 2 arrests for a series of market burglaries in Live Oak. They happened in October of last year. Sheriff's detectives arrested Devon Owens and Romany McKnight, both of Sacramento, on 5 counts of burglary and conspiracy to commit burglary. They're accused of stealing more than $84,000 in cash and property from 3 markets located along Highway 99 and Broadway. An early morning fire brought evacuations today north of Orland. It started south of Stony Creek near Highway 99 West at about 12:30 a.m. Orland Fire said the forward progress was stopped at about 46 acres. The Glenn County Sheriff's Office issued an evacuation order that wasn't lifted until 4 a.m. for people who live in the Shady Oaks Mobile Home Park.
Make access here took us quite a while just to get into the creek. The pre-established dozer lines we were able to utilize for the firefighting effort, but at one time the fire had 2 different heads on it and maxed our resources for a while until the neighboring fire departments arrived.
Kelly confirmed there are a number of homeless camps in the area where the fire started, but the exact cause is still being investigated. Fire crews will remain in the area all day to watch for hot spots and flare-ups. We are continuing our fire watch today on the Green Fire burning in Shasta County. One zone, shaded here in red, is still under an evacuation order. There are 3 zones in yellow under evacuation warnings. Now, the Green Fire has burned more than 15,000 acres. That number needs to be, or I should say, nearly 15,000 acres. It is now 9% contained, so an improvement over yesterday. The Forest Service says it is monitoring the weather closely as cooler temperatures and increased winds are expected throughout northeastern California today. Now, the Forest Service says crews will need to adjust to reflect those weather changes. The Forest Service also shared this video of the Super Scooper in action. We told you Monday that it arrived from Canada over the weekend. It's been picking up water from Shasta Lake to help fight the Green Fire. Officials say it worked the southern part of the fire yesterday, making drops of 1,000 to 1,500 gallons every 15 minutes. The Super Scooper needs a mile of room to swoop down and scoop water. It takes about 12 seconds to fill the tank. Remember, steer clear of any aircraft you see while out on Shasta Lake. This is a live look from the Jarbo Gap Alert California camera overlooking Butte County. Mostly sunny skies, a little brown haze there in the distance, though. We know that smoke is from all those wildfires we've been following. Sade Pullen here with the first check of your forecast.
Yes, those wildfires are still going. Hopefully they can get more containment on that Green Fire. This is a live look over Deer Creek Highway. You can see some haziness in the background, but otherwise looking still pretty warm and nice with those blue skies. So we are experiencing some calm wind speeds, slight breeze, but nothing too bad. They're actually releasing some moisture for us, which is pretty great. And we are seeing some cooler temperatures as for today and tomorrow in the next couple days. We'll start to pick up a little bit more on the weekend, but we're not seeing triple digits projected, which is really great. So we are back to those double-digit temperatures. We are still continuing to see those areas of smoke, specifically in Shasta and Tehama County. So for those in those sensitive groups, definitely be cautious. For temperatures right now, we're looking at lower to upper 80s for our valley region. Foothills is in the 80s to 70s, and then our mountains are in the 80s for right now. So definitely not too bad, Linda. Definitely something that you want to look at, but definitely we're going to see those temperatures start to increase, but nothing too bad. Back to you, Linda.
All right, thank you, Sade. At least one person was taken to the hospital with major injuries after a collision in Butte County. It happened in the area of Highway 70 and Cox Lane, east of Gridley, near Robinson's Corner, around 11 last night. CHP incident page said a car hit a pedestrian. We are working to find out just what happened and the condition of the person who was hit. Reading police are taking an active role helping with fire prevention. The police bike team, along with the Shasta County Sheriff's Office and CAL FIRE, worked together yesterday on enforcement along Oasis Road and Cascade Boulevard, where there have been a number of fires in the past month. Police say they contacted people in illegal homeless camps and issued citations for warming fires in high fire danger zones. They also educated people about the risks of open flames during fire season. Our Fire Watch coverage continues. We're tracking the two complexes still burning in Siskiyou County. 9 zones are under evacuation orders there because of the Orleans complex, which is also burned into Del Norte County. 5 counties are now under warnings, or rather 5 zones are now under warnings. That fire has burned more than 9,000 acres. It is still 0% contained. 2 evacuation orders are in effect because of the Marble complex that's burned 746 acres and is 60% contained. Sources tell CBS News President Trump asked a group of House Republicans if he should fire Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell, but today he signaled he's not planning to move forward, though he did continue with his harsh criticism of Powell. Natalie Brand has more from the White House.
During the start of his meeting with Bahrain's Crown Prince and Prime Minister, President Trump was asked by reporters if he's considering firing Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell.
He's doing a lousy job, but no, I'm not talking about that.
He said it's highly unlikely he will fire him, but acknowledged he asked House Republicans about the idea.
I said, what do you think? Almost every one of them said I should.
Powell's term as chair ends next May. Federal law says the chair can only be fired for cause. Over on Capitol Hill, lawmakers face a Friday deadline to pass the administration's request to make some of the DOGE cuts permanent and slash around $9 billion in previously approved spending. Most of those cuts would hit foreign aid programs, but more than $1 billion would impact public broadcasters. The president and CEO of NPR told CBS News she worries rural communities that rely on their local radio stations could be hurt the most.
Stations that serve communities that do not have access to other forms of local news, emergency reporting, emergency alerting in particular.
The vice president votes in the affirmative.
Vice President J.D. Vance delivered the tie-breaking vote to advance the package late last night after 3 Republicans joined with Democrats to oppose it.
Not only is this bill harmful to communities in Michigan as well as all across the country, but it also risks undermining a key part of our democratic process.
But the White House and Republican leaders say it's about getting spending under control.
Clearly, this is something that all of us believe is a priority when you've got a $36 trillion debt.
In a last-minute deal reached Tuesday, Republicans agreed to preserve funding for the global AIDS program known as PEPFAR in the bill. Natalie Brand, CBS News, the White House.
A final vote in the Senate could happen late tonight, and then it would have to go back to the House for another vote there. U.S. Capitol Police arrested a man near the Capitol today. He was taken into custody after being confronted by officers who say he admitted to having guns and a bow and arrows in his vehicle. That vehicle was parked beside a nearby barricade. The man was wearing a cowboy hat and, as you can see, a green jumpsuit. No other information has been released. An exciting milestone for BMX riders, this morning's groundbreaking for a new bike park in Chico. And excitement building among motorcycle riders for this weekend's Christmas in July toy run. Some guests join us next with details.